pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, it works. It's working on this on the side it's supposed to.
Roll call, Katie.
All right, Lawson,
Yeah.
Buns,
Present.
Reister.
Yep.
But, what am I trying to say, Wyatt,
Wyatt's here, yes.
Sewell,
Here.
Yes.
everyone's present.
Okay, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Consent agenda, anything to remove? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Comments, thanks for everybody for attendance. For the public hearings, what Chrissy will do is she's gonna read anything that we've received in writing, so that way if somebody, instead of having to go through a whole discussion of your comments on either one of them, if you wanna get up and say you're in favor of what was written, that's fine, or you can keep your comments shorter, whatever. We'll go through, after the reading ones, what do we decide, to let the people on here go next, and then online third? So that way, anybody who's listening online will be able to hear all the comments and decide whether or not they still want to speak. After we get done with the public comments on each of these two public hearings, normally what we do is we ask for council to make a motion at that point in time. What I'll do tonight instead is we're going to have discussion prior to a motion on either the burn ban or the parking or the mask mandate, so that there can be discussion at the council level. And then after discussion, if somebody wishes to make a motion, they can do it with any changes they want, such as if a 4-hour parking, somebody wants to make a motion for a 48-hour or a 72-hour, we won't have to go through the mess of having a motion, then have to do amendments and figuring out where the heck we're at, which kind of gets confusing at times. So that's allowed within our rules of order for here, so we'll run that way on those.
Time limit on the speaking?
What we try to do is 3 to 5 minutes, 5 minutes max. If you're repeating stuff, I try to leave it open. I try not to mandate. I don't have a timer up here. So just please be considerate and hit your points, and we'll roll with that. And then after the public hearings are closed, when we get to each of these items, then it will be council discussion only, as well as mayor can make comments. And if council or mayor want to ask any of you for some clarification, we're allowed to do that, but other than me giving you the opportunity to talk after that, it will be council discussion only. So, work for you, council?
Yep.
Okay, I will open the public hearing to consider and gather public input regarding amending chapter 6916 of the City of Hudson Code of Ordinances, adding language to prohibit the parking of recreational vehicles and equipment, trailer, travel, camping trailer, boat, and/or boat trailer, car utility trailer, bus, motorhome, not able to park on a public street, alley, or public property for more than 4 hours during a 24-hour period. I know we got some good comments and suggestions on this one. So Chrissy, why don't you read through what we've got in writing?
So the one that we've got in writing is from Bill and Janet Williams, but I think they're on the Zoom call.
Right.
So I'll skip that one. The next one that we got is from Sean and Ashley Kozlowska. Okay. Sorry, I knew I was going to butcher it. They state, in regards to the 4-hour parking, the 4-hour limit on parking a trailer or recreational vehicle in the street for 4 hours, that is simply not enough time. In an effort to clean a camper or RV up, it can sometimes take more than this time. Also, with the amount of rain we can see in the spring and summer camping months, depending on where your camper is stored, you may need to remove from that spot in order to not get stuck. Allowing 48 to 72 hours of parking should allow enough time to get it out and drying in time and get it back in. When a camper is parked on the street, it is no different than a car parked there or multiple cars parked in front of the same house. Unless a camper is blocking a fire hydrant or a neighboring house's driveway, I see no reason why we would need to move it within 4 hours. Also, assuming a camper or trailer is hooked up to the resident is more likely leaving in a short period of time, 2 or 3 days max. If someone leaves a trailer unattended or not hooked up, it can be assumed that they are staying a longer period of time. If this is passed, what is the penalty? Is there fines? Any warnings? How is this camper trailer affecting neighborhoods at this time?
Is that the only written one you got besides Williams?
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and read Williams, so that way if Janet or Bill don't want to recite it, they can.
Oh, okay, I can sure do that. They state to the City Council of Hudson, we have concerns regarding the 4-hour limit ordinance being proposed for parking boats, trailers, and campers in the street. Occasionally, we need to bring our boat home from our cabin to be serviced. Since it will not fit in our driveway, we have to park it in the street unless we can get it in. There are also times we are trailering our side-by-side and loading it up the night before, so it would need to be hooked up to our truck throughout the night. I believe a 72-hour limit is more reasonable time frame for these types of things. We understand the potential safety issues of camping in the street for a long period of time and believe the 72-hour limit would allow boat and camper owners to get their work done and take the boat or camper back to its storing place. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Who here would like to speak to that item?
Go ahead. You have one?
Yeah, please recite your name and your address, so.
Thomas Peterson, 4380 West Rock Road. I just was about the same what they're saying, it need more time than 4 hours. We hook up the night before and get packed, then we'll leave the following morning, so it's over there overnight. And we, and I just think we need more time to get it, just instead of 4 hours.
Thanks, Tom. You want to speak?
Yeah, Jeremy Germain, 106 Usher Road. One of the things that I was just going to put forth, and I brought copies in case somebody wanted them, was we took the time to call around to all the cities and towns around us
Okay.
at least, and specifically asked, what if we were to pull a camper home, what do you have, what do you do? I had 2 that were 72 hours, but Janesville didn't get back to us in time, so we scratched it off. But most of them, there's 4 48s, 72, and then a handful of 24s. And that was, again, presenting that same situation, that it takes time to camp and things like that too. So I'm kind of in favor of the 72 perfectly, but if you
I'll
guys
give
want
a copy to Chrissy.
copies, choose thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for your research on it.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to speak to that one? Anyone else on the, yeah, go ahead.
Mike Cartney, 95 Partridge Lane, and I agree with that, we need more time.
Okay.
That 48, 72 hours would be ideal.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else on the Zoom call that want to speak to that one?
Okay, you got
They all burn bans.
I.
Oh, no.
Is there anything in the chat?
So we're gonna do with this one right now, then?
No, we'll have the second public
How do you
hearing.
see if
so-
there's chat?
Yeah,
You probably don't. It would have popped up that said,
Oh, one
okay.
more.
sure.
I meant to ask one more question, I'm sorry. If you don't mind, at least, what pushed this or
What's
prodded
the
this?
history behind it? Oh, you're gonna ask that question, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The history basically is we've had vehicles, trailers, campers parked for a week, 2 weeks on end.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah, so we want to put something in tight now. Chief Banks had a 4 hours in Tripola. I visited with him a little bit tonight because we wanted to go out with the extreme, just see what the reaction was. It worked at Tripola. Hudson's a little bit different. What Chief Banks says is he's comfortable with the 48, 72 hours. The main thing is to have something in ordinance that he can work with because he hasn't had anything in ordinance that's given specific deadlines, timeframes, stuff like that. So that is the main thing.
Can I ask how you're gonna monitor that? How would you monitor that? Like, that's probably,
Just usually just chalk the tires.
yeah, okay,
And rely on citizen complaints.
sure.
A lot of it will come from that. There's various ordinances that aren't necessarily 100% followed because we don't have staff to go administer them, nor is that the concern. The main concern is citizen complaints and issues, so.
Hey, George, this is Lori.
Yep.
Would you mind repeating questions from the audience? They're kind of hard to hear with their masks on.
Okay. Main question, the only question's been raised is what was the history behind it, which I think you were able to hear up from me.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on that one? I'll close the public hearing. Open the public hearing on considering public input regarding amending section 105.2 of 105.05 of the City Code of Ordinances, adding language to restrict open burning. Open burning would be prohibited when burning leaves, grass clippings, pine needles, yard waste, and other similar organic debris. Just as a little bit of history to that one, is we don't currently have in our city ordinances an actual ordinance that complies with the Uniform Building Code that we're operating under, which is 2009. The wording that was in this draft distribution is pretty much the same as that, except for it has the prohibition on burning of brush, leaves, and so on. So if we complied with, actually update our ordinance to comply with the Uniform Building Code, we'd pretty much have what that draft was to set out, the big difference being the prohibition within this draft from a standpoint of burning of leaves. The reason that we're having the public hearing and it was put on the agenda was we had a citizen, and it was a citizen, who complained about having an asthmatic condition and the impact that the burning of leaves specifically has on. So we decided we'll go ahead, see what the public hearing is. I acknowledge that Hudson has always had the allowance of leaves burning. I know Waterloo and Cedar Falls don't. However, they provide other services such as driving around and picking up the leaves, which is an expensive thing, or having an area that could be dropped. So we really wanted to see what we had from a public hearing. Chrissy, you want to go ahead and read the ones that we've got, and then we can get through.
Okay, the first one that I received is from Jack Lunan at 4351 Ranchero. It says, I am submitting my opposition to the open burning proposed changes. Our northern tier area is mostly zoned A1, as is most of the entire city limits except for city center and nearby residential areas, commonly defined as town. I don't know the percentages of acres A1 versus town, only to say that A1 is the vast majority. The City of Hudson should not go against the land mass majority on this issue of burning. Land in ag zoning is foundational basis on our farm community and the City of Hudson. I think the existing ordinance says something to the effect people can burn things that are grown on their property. A simple example would be if or when there are trees blown down by wind. It is and should continue to be very common practice to clean up and burn the wood or organic debris. To change it would be a mistake. I don't think there is another more simple or viable solution. I urge the council to leave open burning as is and do not adopt the proposed revisions. The second one that I got was from Andy Appleton, and I know he's here, so you're going to talk about yours. It's up to you. You want me to read it?
I didn't bring a copy.
Oh, okay, nope, I have no problem doing that. Okay, so Andy is at 4421 Ranchero. His states to the governance of Hudson regarding the proposal. Public hearing to consider and gather public input regarding amending section 105.02 and 105.05 of the City of Hudson Code of Ordinance. This ordinance is adding language to restrict open burning. Open burning would be prohibited when burning leaves, grass clippings, pine needles, garden waste, and other similar organic debris violations. First offense, $50. Second offense, $100. And third offense, $200. This would be injurious to the residents with large lots in the northern tier of Hudson. The majority of pre-2018 plus development northern tier residents have some form of open burning area. It serves both functional and social needs and desires. The functional aspect is to reduce herbaceous and woody materials which can be substantial on large lots. The social attribute is many of us hold gatherings of a social nature around our campfires. To remove such amenities involving open burning from our privileges would diminish the attractiveness and subsequently the value of our properties. I therefore request this issue to be dropped from affecting my property and those similar stature to it. If there is a need for other City of Hudson properties to be held to such a restriction, amending the proposal with any of the following individually or in combination can suffice. The first one is excluding lots greater than 0.9 acres in size, individual lot characteristic based. Excluding lots north of an east-west line parallel to and 100 yards south of Strayer Road, extended east and west to the extent of the city of Hudson geographic basis, or excluding properties where housing was established prior to the ordinance banning open burning, which is a time basis. As a sign of the times, gathering around a campfire is one of the few social settings where social distancing is practical. Black Hawk County already covers open burning issues with appropriate burning bans during overly dry conditions. This is at least the second instance of overbearance on the northern tier. An earlier one was the proposal to ban parking along Ranchero Road. If one loses the functionality of burning the material cited in the proposal, then the city of Cedar Falls' free organic waste dump-off amenity seems pretty attractive. That drives the brainstorm of surveying the northern tier residents about petitioning for Cedar Falls annexation again. The demographics of the northern tier have changed considerably in the 5+ years since the last debate on this issue.
Any
Yeah.
more written ones?
Yes, I got 2 more.
Okay.
And actually, Dr. Gritman, you have one. Are you going to speak to yours, or do you want me to read it?
Well, if you read it, I want to comment a couple
Okay,
things.
okay.
Still open to comment, even if we read yours.
The third one that I received was from Jeff Sutton, and I know that they're on Ranchero Road. We can look up the house number. They state that we are in agreement with Andy's sentiments. I could understand such a ban for less than 1 acre, as this could pose a possible fire hazard to houses on adjacent lots. But for larger properties, especially well-established ones, which is nearly everything north of Hudson City proper, this is total nonsense. What then does the city of Hudson propose that we do for all of the organic debris? Is the city going to develop a compost facility for the material? Will the city have curbside pickup of the truckloads of yard waste that we collect over the course of a year? It looks like Hudson is intent on penalizing the many for the benefit of the few. All right, then the last written one that I received was from Robert Gritman, and you are on, what's your address?
1126 East Eldora Road.
Got it, okay. He states that I haven't noticed much burning in the fall as I travel around Hudson by car or walking. How much of it is a widespread problem? There is a difference between burning on an acreage versus in town, perhaps. The YouTube video of a discussion on this issue said leaves would be exempt when clearly the intended action in writing suggests otherwise. The weekly pickup of such items helps if you have 1 or 2 trees, but not if you have a larger property with tree dropping limbs, leaves, and dead trees. I am against the burning ban, and in fact ran for city council on this issue and lack of decent internet. Please study this more and poll citizens before taking action.
At the end of the written ones?
I didn't get anything. No, I didn't get anything.
Okay. Anybody here want to speak to the issue? Dr. Rittman?
Yeah, just a couple of things. It seems like this is centered on one complaint, and that the solution is, as you've heard in the other discussions, is one size fits all, and I don't think that's appropriate. And I would also ask the council not to waive first and second readings, which I know you can do, and give this the whole 3 readings that you pass through and poll other people in the town perhaps.
Anyone else?
How does this work with larger acreages, like 65 acres, if you clear and grub trees? Will those be allowed, or will that be cut off too?
Is it, okay. Good question. Andy, do you want to make your comments?
After listening to what the root source of the issue is from your description, I think I would encourage the council to look to other types of things that address a unique area. For one example, so if I had a deaf child, I could petition to have signs put up, or similar other things that are handicaps. And I think something more parallel to one of those, that an individual citizen could petition the council for a zone around the problem area versus just blanket banning us with regard to it.
Thanks. Anyone else? Who's here live? Anybody on Zoom wish to make a comment? Janet or Don Swanson?
This is Don Swanson. We're at 7951 South Hudson Road. Much like the other people that have spoken, we are opposed to the change to the burn ordinance. We are right in town, but we're on about 2 acres of land with 80-plus trees. I try to bag up the majority of the yard waste, putting out 17 to 18 bags a week for about 3 weeks this last fall, but really can't keep up with it at that rate. So we talked to several of our neighbors who also burn, and they've also agreed. We haven't found any of those that want to give up the option of burning leaves. I will say that if the person were willing to share where they live and we knew that we might impact them, I would certainly be willing to work with them to try to avoid smoke going in their direction. We're already very cognizant of wind and wind speed and wind direction. But it almost sounds to me like it would really be helpful if the person were willing to speak with their neighbors and see if they couldn't work something out there rather than giving up burning in general. And with that, I'll yield the floor.
Thanks, Don. Was there somebody else on there, Katie, that wanted to talk?
They haven't said if they do.
Okay.
Hi, George.
Howdy.
George?
Yep.
Okay. I'm new to this Zoom thing, so I didn't know if you could hear me or not. This is Bill Williams. I live at 216 Sunset. I don't have a problem with a burn ban as long as we have someplace to discard our waste material. Our only other option is to cover a load, drive it over to the landfill, or, buy 2,800 bags a fall to get rid of our leaves and our branches. I do try to compost as much as I can to put back in my garden, but it's pretty overwhelming where we do have established trees. So that would be my only concern. If we could come up with a viable alternative way to get rid of our yard waste, I have no problem with that.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Not done.
That should have us covered. Any other comments from the floor? In that case, I'll close the public hearing. Oh,
Just
Chief.
taking what I had up north, we had 2 days you could burn,
Okay.
which was helpful because some people did have allergies and stuff with the smoke. So you don't have the whole community burning, Sunday through Saturday. You can just chop it up to 2 days a week. That's just a suggestion.
So you just have 2 days per
Yeah,
week?
it's like a Monday or
What if they're
it was
both
Tuesday,
raining?
Saturday.
What if they both rain?
But it was like the
Wait
same
till the next
2
week.
days all year long?
All year, yeah, all year long. But when it comes to the rain, I mean,
Yeah.
You wait till the next
that was the answer, but
Okay.
So Danny, 2 days per week for 52 weeks.
yeah.
So you could burn 140.
But you only burn stuff from Mother Nature.
Got it.
So if somebody had asthma, they'd make sure not to go outside or.
Yeah, keep
open
your windows
windows
closed during
every
those
day.
days. Yeah, it's an option.
Okay. Any other comments? I'll close the public hearing.
George,
Yeah.
this is Al Clausen.
Oh.
I think there's some very good ideas coming out. Don and Bill and these people, I think this is well done.
Okay.
I can understand concerns about the open burning. Of course, I hope you don't do that. And like Don Swanson said, the people are really cognizant of the conditions and wind and those kinds of things. And, don't try and smoke up the whole town. But, I just thought there were some really good ideas. And this hearing was well done.
Thanks, Al. Forgot he was on there too, didn't you? Now I'll close the public hearing. General government. Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Relative to the ordinances that are here tonight, I will not accept other than the appropriate first reading, or in the case of the rated, where we're on the second already, we'll go over that. Item A, discussion action to approve the second reading of ordinance 838, an ordinance amending the Hudson City Code 2017, chapter 92, water rates, section 9202, rates for service.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Clausen.
Aye.
Reister.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Buns. Wyatt.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item B, discussion action to approve the second reading of ordinance 839, an ordinance amending the Hudson City Code 2070. You gotta get moving?
No,
Okay. Move. No, hang on, I was.
not you.
He's worried, I have
Heather's-
another meeting to go
needs,
to. I'm gonna
another
wait till
meeting to get to,
6:35.
No.
Amending the Hudson City Code 2017, Chapter 99, sewer rate charges, Section 9901, sewer service charges required.
So. Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Reister.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Sewell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, item C is the parking ordinance. I'll allow discussion by the council, what they've heard.
I have a question, first of all.
Yep.
Vehicles. Chief Banks, vehicles are allowed 48 hours right now?
No,
I think
7.
72.
72. I'm in favor of changing it, just adding it to be the same as vehicles for right now. I agree with everyone. I mean, there have been many times that I have seen in town cars, boats, campers parked much longer than 72 hours. Of which, if it's in my way, I've mentioned it and said, hey, can you guys at least go talk to this person? Which I think we do a very good job of community policing. And I really commend our police department, and especially our chief, for directing it that way.
Thank you.
Because we are a small town. It doesn't have to be, go out and give tickets to everyone. But knock on a door, hey, is there something going on? Do you know that the ordinance is this? But I think that after hearing from other people as well, I absolutely understand the pack up one night, not leave till the next day type of thing. I would be in favor of matching the vehicle ordinance or going to 48, either one.
I'd be in charge, same with 48. I think 72 is gonna be hard for him to manage.
Do we change, or do we want to look at changing the vehicles to 48 hours then as well?
Change that to 48 hours also then.
So what does that mean? Is that like if I mean, when I was in college, I would go move my car 10 feet, so I didn't get, I mean, can I do that?
Ask the police chief.
I will say,
Yes.
that's not the intent, but,
Yeah.
but people do that.
Yeah,
People
I
do
added
that.
a line in
So.
Elkhorn Heights that said, a movement of the vehicle in and around the area shall not constitute a solution to
So
commerce.
what is the area?
Well, you can define it however you want. You can say a movement from the front of the house on the block shall not constitute a defense.
Or if you drive to Waterloo and back, that's a movement.
How would you know though if you parked in the same spot? You
That
know,
would be up to him to.
the chalk tires.
Yeah.
I mean, and again,
He's gonna have to look at your dog tag.
Yeah, and like
Absolutely.
what George said, the mayor said, is just, citizens' complaints.
it really is. It's not like we're driving around chalking everybody's tires that are parked on the street, right?
No, I
I
mean,
hope.
we might miss a couple here and there, but if something stands out, yeah, that's been there for a while, hasn't moved.
Right.
And again, remember, he's your first line of discretion. I think we've had this conversation before.
Absolutely.
He exercises discretion first. It doesn't hit a citation until he calls me and says, okay, I've tried 6 times and here's where we're at. And then I go, what's the evidence? And if the evidence is, I've been driving around that block for every day for the last 4 days and I can testify under oath that that thing hasn't moved, well then we're golden.
So from an enforcement standpoint, chief, if we're at 72 hours in the automobiles, is it better to be considered a 72 hours as opposed to a 48 for the, does it make any difference?
I will stay with 72.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, we're not gonna notice every vehicle, unfortunately. But like Katie said, my department's great at getting out, knocking on doors, what's going on. Definitely chalk tires if it's longer. I told my officers, make sure you take pictures of every violation, which helps Heather and us in court too.
And there's probably more specific areas that are easier spotted, maybe, or more prone to, I mean, obviously if a car is parked in a downtown parking spot in the same spot for 3 weeks straight, one of the businesses or somebody's probably gonna notice it and say, okay, we need to get other people moving through here, versus a neighborhood that the kid's been sick or something, you know what I mean? I guess that's kind of where I think the discretion comes into
Yeah,
play too.
there's a vehicle right now that I knocked on the door and she's like, yeah, the battery's dead, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to work with them.
Sure.
I might just get out and push my dang self. But that's community policing, right?
That is. I watched the
Good
chief
workout.
carrying somebody's groceries one day, so
Yeah, I'm ready for a motion.
I'd make the motion that we adopt a 72-hour.
Second. Any further discussion on that? And this will be for the first reading.
Yes.
72 hours in what time frame?
A consecutive 72 hours,
Yeah,
right?
consecutive, yep.
Well, you have
Anytime during the week or
4 and
whatever.
24, 72 in a week.
Be a 72 in a concurrence.
Right, I thought it meant
Yeah.
72
Yeah,
consecutive
as
hours.
opposed to
So
4
you've got a
within
vehicle,
24.
RV or otherwise, parked in front for more than 72 hours, you're supposed to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on it? Roll call.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister, Lawson,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Sewell,
Aye.
carries 5-0.
I just have a quick question.
Yep.
Do you want me to change that and then email it out to all of you, just to make sure we have the wording correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Okay, item D, discussion action, first reading of the yard waste, leaf burning, et cetera, et cetera. Discussion?
I'm with Doug.
Lori, I have a couple,
Yep, go ahead, Lori.
okay, I have a couple of clarification questions. So under item 3B, so it says the following restrictions apply to burning. B seems to me like it's not as much as a restriction as it's allowing something. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I read it that way too, Lori. I was really confused by this, because when I was reading it, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this just says that we're allowing it. Am I reading it
Yeah.
incorrectly too?
Well, what it says in here explicitly is burning of leaves, grass clippings, et cetera, is prohibited except as follows, as provided below, in which case the burning of the brush, sticks, branches, trees, and shrubs is allowed on the property that's a single family or duplex, or two-family.
So that it is allowed on a
So it
single
is
family.
allowed.
Huh,
That's what it's saying to me when I'm reading it.
I hate
I interpret,
legalese.
yeah, I interpreted that it is allowed. So I wanted to make sure I was not misinterpreting based on the discussions we've had from the community.
Are you, which subparagraph?
Right here, Heather, it's up
3B.
here.
Yeah.
3B? I've got it right now.
But it says within B that you can burn the brush, sticks, branches, trees, and shrubs. It does not say you can burn your leaves, grass clippings, pine needles on those 1 and 2 family.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
So
Yes,
this-
but I just wanted to clarify that that means then that people can burn brush, sticks, branches, trees, and shrubs.
Yes, they could burn brush, sticks, branches, trees, and shrubs, but it still says you can't burn your leaves and grass clippings.
Holy cow, are we gonna go dig through the fire pit to find out?
The city of Cedar Falls actually does that.
If they get a complaint, right?
Yeah.
No.
Or if they feel like they
Or if
employ people to do that.
Well, now, and the other part of this is eventually, I think this is a conversation, we are probably one of the fewer cities in anywhere that allows burning still, aren't we?
It's a great reason to live in Hudson.
I mean, trust me, I'm not for this because I burn my leaves too. I get it, but most people that I talk to will say, you can burn what? You can do what? Because of the environmental aspects of it.
Yep, yep.
Now, I think that before we go to that, we need to have this discussion about exploring yard waste pickup, brush dumps, whatever the case may be.